guys, this is Megan. I'm the cruise editor at theflightattendantlife.com, and I'm here in beautiful Del Mar, California, hanging out with my good friend who is recording this video for me. And today I just wanted to talk about true life of a flight attendant, because I have a lot of people ask me what life as a flight attendant is like and what my normal day is like. Well, my normal day isn't like everybody else's, and I thought I'd pull up the schedule and just talk to you about my week last week. So I'm going to start with Sunday. On Sunday I was sitting reserve, and I had to go to the airport and sit standby at the airport from 12 to 4, and they didn't use me. So the next day I had to trek all the way over to Newark Liberty International Airport, where I started a trip, and I had 4 flights that day, and I ended up in Grand Rapids, Michigan for a 17-hour overnight. Then I had 4 flights again, and I ended up back in Newark at 10:57 that night, and so I had to hike it back over to Queens where I live. I had 1 day off, and then I started a trip at JFK the next morning at 5:30 was my sign-in, so that means I had to wake up at about 3:30 to catch a 5 o'clock shuttle to the airport. I did a couple flights that day, ended up in Raleigh for 20 hours that night. Next morning I woke up at 4, did a couple more flights, ended up in Seattle for 12 hours? Yeah, 12 hours. Went back to JFK, 1 flight that day, and then I had 9 hours before I had to get up the next morning to start another trip, where I ended up in my hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina for 16 hours. 4 more flights. I ended up in Phoenix that night for 13 hours, and a couple more flights back to New York. So that's what, over a period of 10 days, that's 10 days. So in 10 days I think I worked 8 of those days. So that's kind of what a flight attendant schedule is like. Scheduling for me, I try to put all my trips together so that I have more consecutive days off at the beginning or the end of the month. And because I love to travel and I love to use my benefits. And if you're a flight attendant, you should use your benefits. That's just kind of my soapbox issue, I guess. Another question that I get a lot is, what is reserve? And most flight attendants have to sit reserve for a period of time, whether it be just a couple months or a few years. So reserve is a tool that airlines use to make sure there's no gaps in coverage. And the idea is that the most junior flight attendants sit reserve until they are senior enough to hold a set schedule. And reserve is where you're basically on call, and a reserve is used when a more senior flight attendant calls out sick or has vacation. A more junior flight attendant gets their trip so that there's no flights going out without flight attendants. So reserve, when you're on call, you're typically on call for about anywhere from, some airlines go 16-hour windows and other airlines go 24-hour windows. Tomorrow I'm going back to New York to sit reserve for 3 days, and on those 3 days I can be sent anywhere in the world. Another question I get a lot is, what do I do to pass the time at airports between flights? That's definitely something as a flight attendant you have to get used to, is figuring out ways to pass the time. So if I'm sitting at an airport that's a hub for a couple hours, I have every major airport for that airline has a flight attendant lounge, so that's nice to be able to go into the lounge and either nap or catch up on work emails or work on my schedule a little bit, so that's nice. But when I'm sitting somewhere else, like at an airport, say I non-rev myself somewhere and I'm stuck there because all the flights are full, I kind of have a weakness for iced coffee, so I really like Starbucks iced coffee. I usually catch up on my emails that you guys send me when you ask me questions, and I would consider myself a professional texter to pass the time. So that's what I do to pass the time in the airport. Another question I get a lot as a flight attendant is why I'm passionate about my job, because there are some really rough days on the job. I'm passionate about what I do because I get to do things like this and visit my friends in faraway places and see my family across the country on my days off. So that's pretty awesome. And this job allows me to do that and allows me the flexibility and benefits to do so. So that's why I'm passionate about my job. I think my top 3 would be Charlotte, because I'm from Charlotte. Second would probably be San Francisco, because there's a lot to do around there within walking distance. And then third would probably be Seattle. I really dig Seattle. Alright guys, my name is Megan. I am the cruise editor at theflightattendantlife.com. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram at flywithmegan. You can follow Kara, the creator of theflightattendantlife.com, on Instagram at thefalife. And check out our cruise videos if you're a flight attendant hopeful on our YouTube channel. Thanks.